there is cause for concern around the Kansas City Chiefs, at least as far as the national media is concerned themselves. Now, Jalen Watson was the cornerback who went down, and I am on the record all the way back to the very day that his draft selection was made, saying that he could be a starter for this Kansas City Chiefs team. I personally did not understand all of the hubbub in training camp, etc., all the way through the preseason as to who the Kansas City Chiefs number 2 cornerback would be. Jalen Watson, in my opinion, had absolutely proven that he was the guy to take the number 2 spot. However, Joshua Williams was favored supposedly, apparently, ostensibly by the coaches, and well, maybe with good reason, but never really managed to take the role from Jalen Watson, and afterwards just plummeted on the depth chart like a rock. We have an article today from Arrowhead Pride titled "Joshua Williams is ready to step up amid Chiefs cornerback injuries." The third-year cornerback is prepared for his latest opportunity on defense, written by Ron Kopp. I will get to some comments from that article momentarily. I will start this by saying I think Joshua Williams will be fine at the number 2 cornerback spot in the absence of even Najee Johnson. I believe that, and not without evidence. Also, I want to say that we're going to get into some numbers at the end of this video that are maybe incomplete, but I think everything that would be necessary for the case to be made against Joshua Williams would be in there if there were a case against Joshua Williams physically, if there were a case against Joshua Williams by his performance in game. Meaning that I think the only thing that could be holding Joshua Williams back would be the same thing that is supposedly holding back Justin Ross. The fact that Justin Ross, that very final preseason game, marched out onto the field and lined up in the wrong spot, was unaware of his actual assignment on the play. Apparently, that is what's holding Justin Ross on the practice squad right now, as opposed to being called up to replace one of the injured wide receivers on the Kansas City Chiefs. That's my only conclusion for this, is that Joshua Williams must be proving in practice that he is not assignment sound. That's the only thing that I think could be going on here. The article itself says this: injuries at cornerback, including Najee Johnson missing practice on Wednesday in concussion protocol, leave just Joshua Williams and Keith Taylor behind McDuffie to man the outside traditional cornerbacks. Rookie Christian Roland Wallace has played more snaps the last 2 weeks, but he aligned in the slot or in the box on nearly all of them. Going to jump in real quick here. Chamari Connor as well, when he was drafted, was really sort of touted up as a nickel cornerback type guy. He has made more plays, I think, in the box than in the slot so far. I haven't gone back and assessed that. I'm just going off of memory. But he is a guy that I think can play the slot cornerback position for sure. And I would be interested in seeing what happens if they are. I don't want to see him man up on the outside. I think that would be maybe a stretch for his abilities. Maybe not. Maybe he can do that as well. But seeing him play the boundary in a cover 2 shell defense, I think with his playmaking acumen and his quick twitch abilities, may prove favorable for Chamari Connor. The article itself continues, Williams has been waiting for this chance. This circumstance is awful, but Williams had been taken entirely out of the defensive rotation before starting cornerback Jalen Watson's injury in Week 7. His role changed to next man up, even if you haven't played with the defense in a month. I'm going into my third year. So there is definitely some experience now that comes with it. Williams shared with media on Thursday, had this been my rookie year, it could have been a more difficult adjustment. The staff does a great job of keeping everybody ready, and I feel like I've been ready for this opportunity, and I'm going to make the most of it. The reason I wanted that quote in here is this. Joshua Williams is a smart guy. You can tell from interviews with a lot of guys in the NFL whether or not they really have their head screwed on right. Joshua Williams seems to be a guy that definitely has his head screwed on right. He seems like a really smart guy. That's why I don't understand if it's the assignment thing. Joshua Williams, the most important thing about this quote is this. It's very positive. There is not a hint of negativity in it. Now, I'm not getting his tone of voice. I didn't listen to the interview. Maybe he's just saying all of the right things because he does have 3 years in the NFL and he sees what the media can do to you if you have a shade of this or that in your voice during an interview. But he seems to be generally positive despite plummeting on the depth chart. We have seen players plummet on the depth chart before. Kadarius Toney plummeted on the depth chart and apparently did not take it very well. By all reports, he was an absolute menace attitude-wise. At least that's what I have heard. So, Joshua Williams, who plummeted on the depth chart and was passed up by a guy who was drafted as a safety in the 7th round, Joshua Williams himself drafted in the 5th round, seems to be of the mind, I'm just going to have to prove it. So if he goes out there and proves it, and here's the thing, he has been deactivated before. He was deactivated, I believe, it was at either like week 14, week 13 his rookie season, or last year. I can't quite remember which, but deactivated, not even dressed for the game. His rookie season, there was a slate of games early that he did not get any defensive reps, played only special teams reps. But anyway, we'll move on from that. As a rookie, a little bit further down in the article, this happens. As a rookie, Williams started 4 of the Chiefs' last 9 games in the regular season. Okay, so that must have been 2023. Then came off of the bench in the AFC Championship to play almost every snap. He has been a part of the Chiefs' game planning and execution for big moments, even if not as much this season. The thing that I have consistently seen from Joshua Williams is just really solid cornerback play. I think that Jalen Watson has star capability in the NFL. I think that Jalen Watson has more explosiveness than does Joshua Williams. I think Joshua Williams is absolutely capable of playing cornerback at a starting level in the NFL. So what I did is I collected a few numbers. In 2022, Joshua Williams played 437 snaps. This was his rookie year. He also played 215 snaps of special teams. Through the first 7 games of the season, which is where we are now, right? Through the first 7 games of the season, Joshua Williams in his rookie year played 135 snaps. In 2023, his sophomore campaign in the NFL, Joshua Williams played 321 snaps, fewer snaps in his second year than his first, played more special teams in order to get to 304 special team snaps, but through those first 7 games, 162 snaps. Which is why it is so strange to see him at just 89 snaps through the first 7 games of this 2024 season. You dig a little bit deeper, he already has 129 special team snaps, meaning that he is on pace for 313, which would be the third consecutive season where his special teams snaps increased and his defensive snaps decreased. So just looking at that, he is on pace right now to play just 216 snaps of defense for the Kansas City Chiefs. What are we looking at here, especially when you take a step down to that next rung of stats? As a rookie, he was targeted 50 times. That's 50 times in 437 snaps, meaning that he was targeted about once every 9 times he took the field. He gave up 56% completion and a 104.9 rating. In his second year, 321 snaps, he gave up a completion. He was targeted 29 times, which means that about every 11 times he was on the field, giving up, now that's fewer targets per snap. He also gave up a lower completion percent of 44.8 and a rating of 82.7, meaning that he was better in high leverage situations than had he been. In 2024 so far this season, he's only been targeted 4 times, which is about every 12 times he steps on the field. So when you are looking at this, 89 divided by 4, 22. So double the amount of snaps per target from 2023. Now, it's a much more limited sample size. I understand that. But he is giving up on those targets 75% completion percentage for a 128.1 rating when targeted. What is going on there? I think that it's too small a sample size through these first 7 games and 89 snaps and just 4 targets to really be looking at what is going on and trying to assess where things, because honestly, if you're looking at those numbers, just the raw numbers, there's not a whole lot to suggest that he is playing worse football. Meaning it has to be in the tape, it has to be in practice. Here's the last thing I know about Joshua Williams. Last year in the playoffs, the guy was money. Against Miami, he played 33 snaps of defense. In those 33 snaps of defense, he was targeted, pardon me, I messed up. I apologize. So he was money in the playoffs. In those 33 snaps, he was targeted just twice, giving up 0 completions. So I don't know where the 39.6% rating comes from, but that's the way they calculate it. Against Buffalo, he played fewer snaps, just 19, and he was targeted once, giving up 1 completion. So 100% completions, just 3 yards on that 1 completion, giving up a rating of 79.2. The AFC Championship game against the Baltimore Ravens, 25 snaps, targeted just twice, 1 completion for 6 yards, yielding a rating of 56.2. And in the Super Bowl, the game to end all games, he played 20 snaps of defense. He had 1 target. He was targeted once, I should say. He gave up 1 completion for 17 yards and a 118.7 rating when targeted. Guys, that is fantastic. And it's not just football right there. That is football in the playoffs. That is football against the teams that you would think were the best in football, but not just hypothetically. Those were the Miami Dolphins, who scored 70 points in a game, the Buffalo Bills, who were one of the preseason favorites to win the Super Bowl, the Baltimore Ravens, who just like this year, everyone is saying is going to be the representative in the Super Bowl for the AFC, and the San Francisco 49ers, who everyone thought was going to win the Super Bowl before the 2023 season kicked off. And that was his performance. In that playoff run, a total of 6 targets. A total of 6 targets. A total of 3 completions. Joshua Williams can play football. Joshua Williams can play football with the big boys. Joshua Williams did it just 8 games ago in the Super Bowl, 9 games ago in the AFC Championship, 10 games ago against Buffalo in the divisional round, and 11 games ago against the Miami Dolphins in the wild card round. Joshua Williams is going to be, in my opinion, fine at that number 2 cornerback spot. And frankly, I don't understand. I'm not saying Spagnuolo is wrong. I'm not saying Andy Reid is wrong. I'm not saying that whoever has plummeted Joshua Williams on that depth chart like a rock in the ocean is wrong. I'm not saying that. They have a lot more information than I do. They know a lot more about football than I do. But I don't know why he was plummeted to begin with. Just don't. And looking at these numbers, we know that he's capable. We know he can do it. Whether or not he's been doing it in practice, whether or not he was the effort guy in training camp, whether or not he knows all of the specific, minute details of Spagnuolo's defense and was able to exhibit that in the preseason games, I don't know. I don't. But looking at these numbers, looking at what he has done very recently, I can tell you Joshua Williams can be absolutely fine at that number 2 cornerback spot. Guys, that's all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, hitting the subscribe button keeps you around for more Chiefs content in the future. And I hope to have you back for the next one.